Section 2.2 of the higher course deals with bearings. Again, there's a lot more done in the foundation videos. This is only grade D by rights, I shouldn't be looking at it, but I have to do two little questions which I fancy. It says that Jane, by the way, the hardest part of this question is me trying to manipulate this protractor and that ruler on a graphics tablet. The rest of it is easy. The maths is easy, the graphics side of things is tricky. Anyway, enough about my woes. Jake leaves home and cycles for 6 kilometers on a bearing of 070 degrees, in other words 70 degrees from the north line. He then cycles for 5 kilometers on a bearing of 140 degrees. I've got to make an accurate drawing of his route and use it to find the bearing and distance he needs to travel in order to go home directly. That's what I've got to do. So what I've done is take the liberty of drawing a north line first and getting my protractor in place. So if I drag it over like so, I've then got to position it. Good enough. I'm now going to go on a bearing of 70 degrees. That's 070. So here we go. Lovely on the outside. 60, 70. So I want to go off in this direction here, and I may not go that far in terms of the length on the ruler. I'm going to do 6 kilometers, and I'm going to do a scale of 1 centimeter to 1 kilometer, because that's what I've got. Now, joy of joys, I've got to put my ruler up against this, rotate it, swivel it, and all the rest of it, and go through that little yellow line there, and see what we can do. I don't know until I move it up. Let's just take a look. Got to rotate it a little bit. I've got to go, how long? 6 kilometers. That's about there, isn't it, the marking? But my angle's not right, so let's try and do this again. Really hard. Come on, don't be difficult, please. Are you, again, like on the previous foundation video I said, are you enjoying yourself? This stupid thing sorted. Well, what if I drag it down? Hold it. What if I drag the thing down like that? Oh, not bad, not bad, not bad. Oh, look at that. Come on, allow it. So I'm going, stop there. I'm in the right direction, sort of, minus the odd degree. I'm going for 6 kilometers. Let me just draw a 6 kilometer line from that spot to 6, and then hopefully, who let go? I didn't let go. 6 kilometer line, come on. 6 kilometer line, and stop. Right, let's just write out this little bit because we don't need it anymore. And then I've got to do something special. I'm about to change direction, go for 5 kilometers on a bearing 140. If it says bearing, then I'm going to draw another north line. Always draw another north line to show you're about to change direction. So, north. I'll label this up in a minute anyway. And then I've got to go 140 degrees, 5 kilometers. Okay then, let's move this along. 5 kilometers, so I mean the ruler's in the way, but that's fine. North, right, 140 degrees. Let's just have a little measure. 10, 20, 30, 40, I don't know, 90, 110, 120, 30, 140 degrees. That's quite a turn. So I've got to aim in that direction, haven't I? I don't need my protractor, so let's just get rid of it to the side, just to make life difficult. So you wait there until I call on you again, and I've got to go 5 kilometers in that direction. So let's just get this thing rotated round a little bit, so it has to begin to go in the right direction, sort of. Okay, so drag it down here. Oh, I bet you're having a laugh. I'm not. Just rotate it a little bit more. Really hard, this. Judge it by eye and then move it along, I think. How does that look? That is not bad. I'm having that. Right, stop it. Move it up a little bit more. I'm happy with that. I've now got to go 5 kilometers, and I've got my bearing of 140 sorted, so let's just do it. 5 kilometers, I'm in the right direction, so here I go. When you do this in class, you're going to get it spot on, aren't you? As for me, that's a little bit over. Allow me. Right, that's that. Let's just get rid of the mess I've created and get rid of the plastic ruler. That's not plastic at all. Right, what have I got here? Let's just label what I've done so far. I have got 070 degrees, clockwise, of course, and I've done that for 6 kilometers, so that's 6 kilometers. Easy peasy. And then I did this, that's called 140 degrees, and I've been going down there for 5 kilometers. Now, I've set up the diagram as accurately as I possibly can with the stuff I've got. Right, and use it to find the bearing and distance he needs to travel to return directly home. In other words, I've got to try and find the distance from there to there, and that's home. And that I can have to use a ruler to measure the distance first of all. Now I've got to swivel this wonderful little piece of kit again and wrap it round my line. Right, oops, come on. Software, come on, do your stuff. If I can get it looking parallel and just lift it, let's just try that. Let's try and lift it. How are we doing? Not brilliant, but I'm going to allow it because it's tough. Come a little bit more. Okay, I love that. Just lift it. Well, mine's inaccurate, but I'm going to go for 9.2 kilometers because I've got 92 millimeters here. So let me just write it in and commit myself to 9.2. So that's 9.2 kilometers. Using a scale of 1 centimeter to 1 kilometer, and then now I've got to measure the bearing. In other words, another north line. I'll show you why I'm doing that right now. So let me just put this north line in first and label it up appropriately. It's a lovely question, this. What I'm asked to do, once I get this ruler out of the way, go away, is to essentially measure this angle here. Now remember, we only go clockwise with bearings, so essentially in order to go back home I need to go clockwise relative to that north line there, in that direction, and I've got to measure that angle there. There it is. It's obviously over 180 degrees. It is a reflex angle, and it's clearly above 270 because, as you can see, straight down will be 180 degrees plus an extra 90 degrees, 270. So I'm guessing it's more than 270 by the look of it, but I need to measure it, and that is the bearing he must take to go back home with his bike. I know the distance directly home is 9.2 kilometers. I've now got to use this wonderful gadget and measure this lovely bearing. So here we go again. Take my plastic, put it up against that, break down, and but now it'll allow me to do it. Right, rotate the thing round carefully. So, well, rotate, not flipping. What's going on with you? This is hard, I tell thee. Try and get back down first to where it belongs. Right, what I've done is pause the video and got this protractor exactly in place. So what I've done is just rotated it now, and just to recap how far we got so far, we've got the distance home is 9.2 kilometers. Now I've got to measure this bearing, so I know straight away I've got 180 sitting here waiting for me, and I need to add on extra 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. That's going to be 95. That's 105. That's 110, 105. I think it's sitting on exactly 100 degrees. 95. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, so that's going to be 180 degrees plus 100 degrees is the bearing altogether. We have a bearing of 280 degrees. I told you it's going to be above 170. So essentially, after I've done my diagram, I'm going to be moving 280 degrees clockwise. That's my bearing, and I'm going to travel home on my bike a distance of 9.2 kilometers. Hopefully the next picture won't be too violent. Yes, it's bound to be. Right. Oh no, not this stuff. Get it out of the way. Bridgetown is 80 miles north and 50 miles east of Archway. The best place to start, put a little cross somewhere. I'm going to start right there, say. And I've got to go 80 miles north and 50 east of Archway. This is Archway, that little cross then. Right, north is straight up, and it's got to be 80 miles, sorry, so I'm going to go 8 centimetres on that. I'll try and rotate it. Go vertical as much as I can. Drag it over, and that's 8. So therefore, if I draw a vertical line straight up there, that should be okay, I hope. So there we go. That represents my 80 miles. Done. And then it says 50 miles east. Right, in other words, from this position I'm going to go 50 miles east. So here we go. Better take my ruler out of the way. Start rotating again, if I can. This thing here. I've got it backwards, which is a bit of a problem. Let's just rotate it this way. Not too far. Does that look horizontal to you? No? But if it does, I'm going to use it. So I'm going to grab this, put it up there, excuse me, and go 50 east. Now, I'm not doing this journey as such. What I'm doing is trying to replicate the information in the question in a diagram. Okay, I'm happy with that. So right then, Bridgetown is 80 north and 50 east of Archway. So if I was to go 80 north and then turn right and do 50 miles in the easterly direction, I will find Bridgetown. So let me just label that then. Put a little cross there, and that's now Bridgetown. Right, that's that bit. Make an accurate scale drawing. I've done it. Calculate the bearing of Archway from Bridgetown. Right, bearing. Calculate the bearing. In other words, the angle. So let me just get rid of this ruler thing. Hopefully I won't need that again. Goodbye. Bearing. In other words, I want to get directly from Bridgetown. Why did that let go all of a sudden? Try that again. From Bridgetown to Archway. Essentially, go straight up and do. There's my north line. I don't really need that. So that's north. Essentially, I need to calculate, or rather measure, that angle shown. Alright? So that angle is what I want. And because I've got this, now I've got to rotate it. What I'm going to do is just pause the video, rotate it, and then come back to you. Okay, so what I've done is move the question down here, further down the screen. This was my 80 north. And this was my 50 miles east. And I arrived at Bridgetown. So now I've got to measure this part here, which is my bearing to go directly home. It doesn't ask me to measure the distance from Bridgetown to Archway. It doesn't ask that. I'm just going to do the bearing, which is basically the angle. Now look, I've positioned this protractor correctly. Straight away I've got 180 degrees, as you can see, plus this extra little bit here. Now the extra little bit is 10, 20, 30, 32 degrees from my picture. So I've got the bearing is going to be 180 half turn plus 32. That will give me 202 degrees by my picture. You might make it exactly 200, I don't know what it should be. I'm not working on paper, but essentially that's it. And I'm so glad that's over, because that's horrid working like this. So hope you've learned something from it anyway, and at least had a good laugh at me trying to do this stuff on screen.